When you hear the words day trading, what comes to mind? For a lot of people, it's basically high stakes gambling, right? All stress and chaos. But what if there is a way to turn it into a methodical, rules based profession? Well, today we're going to break down the system of veteran trader Oliver Velez and see how he tries to bring order to that chaos.
So let's just get right to it, right? Is day trading just a fancy trip to the casino? I mean, is it all about getting lucky, or can you actually build a real sustainable skill? Answering that one question is probably the most important first step for anyone even thinking about getting into this world.
And you know what's wild? Velez himself, he actually agrees with the critics. He says that, yeah, for most people who try it, day trading is gambling. But why? Well, it's because they're running on emotion with no plan, no structure. And that admission, that one surprising point, is actually the key that unlocks his entire philosophy. So this really lays it all out, doesn't it? You've got two roads you can go down. On one side, there's the gambler. They're on this emotional roller coaster that, let's be honest, almost always ends in disaster. And on the other side, you've got the professional. They operate like a business owner with a strict plan and a system. The whole goal is to build a bridge that gets you from that gambler side over to the professional side.
All right, so here's the game plan for making that happen. First, we're going to talk defense, how to build what Velez calls your financial fortress. Then we'll get into the single most important rule for managing trades, the one-bar golden rule. After that, we go on offense, how to find trades by following the river, and, just as important, knowing when to exit. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the core idea behind the whole system, experience.
Okay, first things first. Defense wins championships, right? Before you even think about making a single dollar, you have to make absolutely sure you can't lose too much. A professional's number one job is managing risk. Now look, I know this isn't the sexy part of trading, but it is the foundation that everything else is built on. Without it, the whole thing crumbles.
So how do you build this fortress? Well, it comes down to two super simple non-negotiable rules. Rule 1, you decide the absolute most you are willing to lose in one day. Velez suggests starting with something like $200. If you lose that much, you turn off the computer and you walk away. For real, no exceptions. And rule 2, you never risk that whole amount on a single idea. You divide your daily limit by at least 3. That way, 1 or 2 bad trades in a row can't just wipe you out for the day.
And boom, just like that, you have a number, a hard number. With a $200 daily limit, your maximum loss on any single trade is around $66. This isn't a suggestion, it's not a feeling, it's a hard line in the sand. You're telling the market, you cannot take more than this from me on this trade. That one simple step starts to move you out of the world of gambling and into the world of business. Okay, now we're getting to what might be the single most important tactical rule in this whole system. It is a simple visual guide for every single trade you take, and it's designed to literally skew the mathematical odds in your favor over time. And the rule is so simple. It's this. Your risk on any trade should almost never be more than the size of one single candlestick bar on your chart. So let's say you decide to buy because you see a big green bar forming. Your stop loss, that's your automatic exit if you're wrong, it goes just below the bottom of that one bar. That's it. You are only risking the height of that single bar. And this, right here, is where the magic happens. This is where the math of the system just completely flips the script. It creates this incredible asymmetry. Think about it. Your losses are always small and capped at 1 bar. But your winners, they could be 2 bars, 5 bars, or like Velez says here, they could run for 18 bars. You're strictly controlling the downside while leaving the upside wide open. To really hammer this home, Velez has this brilliant little analogy he calls the snowman. You want every single trade you take to look like a snowman. Your risk, that 1 bar loss, that's the small head. Your potential reward, that's the big, fat body underneath. When you start thinking this way, and you only take trades that look like a snowman, you can actually be wrong more often than you're right and still make money over time. All right, so we've got our defense locked down, right? Our fortress is built, we've got our 1 bar rule, now it's time to talk offense. How do we actually find a trade? How do we know when to get in? Well, the system uses another really simple visual metaphor to keep you on the right side of the market's momentum. He has this great metaphor. He calls the 20-period moving average the river. Now, if you're not familiar, a moving average is just that line you see on a chart that kind of smooths out the price and shows you the general direction. Just think of this one as the main current of the stock's trend. The rule is dead simple. If the river is flowing downhill, you only look for chances to sell. If it's flowing uphill, you only look for chances to buy. You never ever fight the current. So how do you actually use this to get into a trade? Let's walk through a classic example for a stock that's heading up. He calls this the color game. First, you see the river is flowing up. Okay, check. Then you wait for the price to dip down a little, to pull back toward the river. This gives you a better price. Your signal to jump in is when a brand new green up bar forms, showing you that the buyers are stepping back in. You get in as it starts moving up, and here's the crucial part. You put your stop loss right below the bottom of that green bar, perfectly executing the one-bar rule we just talked about. But look, getting in is only half the story, right? This is where so many people trip up. A gambler might have a great winning trade, but then they get greedy, they have no plan to take profits, and they watch the whole thing turn into a loser. A professional, on the other hand, has a clear, pre-planned strategy for getting out and cashing in. So the Velez system gives you a few different plays in your playbook for taking profits. For a really quick trade, you might use the 30 to 50 cent rule, just grabbing a chunk of profit fast to lower your risk. A more common one is the 3 push rule. After a stock makes 3 distinct moves up, it's often getting tired, and that's a good signal to get out. And then there's the new high rule, where you sell into that final burst of strength. Honestly, the specific rule you use is less important than the discipline of having a plan before you even get into the trade. So we've covered the fortress, the river, the exit plans. We've got all these mechanical rules. But you have to understand all these rules, they're not just about making money on this trade or that trade. They're all working towards something much, much bigger. Velez is so clear about this. He says, your success is on the other side of experience. It's not about an event. It's not about getting lucky once. It's a process. You can't be lucky forever, but you can become skilled. And that skill only comes from one thing, doing it over and over and over again. And that, right there, is the real secret to the whole thing. The ultimate purpose of this entire system of rules is just one thing, survival. The rules are designed to keep your losses so ridiculously small that the market can't take you out of the game. They keep you alive, day after day, week after week, so you have the time to see thousands of chart patterns, to feel the rhythm of the market, and to build real, deep, instinctual skill. Your experience, that becomes your ultimate mentor. And that brings us right back to where we started. This whole system argues that the line that separates the gambler from the professional, it's not IQ points, it's not some kind of genius, it's discipline. It's having a plan and sticking to it. And that really leaves us with a bigger question, one that goes way beyond trading. For any complex skill in life, is that commitment to a set of rules the ultimate key to turning a game of chance into a true profession?